Hello, my fellow weirdos. It's almost 11:30 at night, and I am finally home from the Remove the Regime DC rally in March. Um, I am so tired. I've got videos and I did get pictures. Now, the reflecting pool, it looks huge in the pictures, but it's even more huge in life. Y'all know, I probably know what I use the walker when I go because of the foot. And oh, it's cramping up now. It's been cramping up on the way home. It's had enough. I got about 3/4 of the way down because everybody. Okay, first when we got there, about halfway, walking halfway from Foggy Bottom, the metro. It was for me. And so about halfway there, the gal I was with, that the couple that brought me down with their friend, they came from Boston. Was visiting his mom in Jersey. And so my friend brought me there. I just took an Uber. We just went right back to there on the way home. And I just took an Uber, 25 minutes to my place. Because they don't really know Jersey super well. And in the dark, they're tired. I didn't, no. I was like, yeah, no, I don't really want you running around Jersey. So, because only two people drove, 5 hours there and 5 hours back. So we got there a little late because traffic was, and she's like, "Oh, I see the handmaidens over there. They're starting." I was like, "Shit, they're coalescing." So we got out of the Uber. She's like, "Go, just go." And so I saw like 4 or 5 cops right there by the black and white, walk area. And I, in my handmaid uniform and with the walker, and I'm like, "Can you guys?" Because I saw they were starting to walk over there. I said, "Could you guys, when you go over there, tell the handmaidens that there's one left behind. I'm coming." And they laughed. His way was like, "They left me behind. I'm going as fast as I can." And I was halfway there, and I saw him tap one of the girls, and she's like, "Who? Who are you talking about?" This is the first time I've been in DC. So it was fun. And they were like, "You can just sit in the walker in front of the stairs." I'm like, "I want to sit on the stairs with everybody else." So, the walker was just to the side. And I got a picture. I found a picture. I'm looking away, but I'm sure there was a lot of other pictures. I just am so tired. I mean, to go through people's videos and to go through my stuff and upload it. And I'm looking for pictures because I know, see, you couldn't take your own pictures or selfies with them because they had the big long declaration, and paper, and they're sit on either side of it. Some have their masks on, some have shame masks, some have shame, whatever. I just didn't have my face thing on, and they had an extra one, but then she forgot to give it to me. But it was okay. So I sat on this, like, the second to the bottom stair, and it felt like 30 or 40 minutes. People were all over the place taking photographs. I mean, by the time she was like, "Okay, we're going to give you guys a break," and, then we go over. And by that time, I was like, for the way I was 20 years ago, yeah, I could have hop, skip, and jumped there. But you have to know your limitations when as you get older and physical things happen. You don't like it. I really wanted to do the whole march with them because after that we all walked down the stairs and the girls helped me. I was like, wasn't asking, but that's the way everybody was with the walker. She took one side, and we just the short steps, and I mean, they were just, it was awesome. Everybody was like, "Oh, hi." They start sweating, and I take off, you took off your wings every now and then, and it's like the reddish pink hair and the green. They loved it. Everybody. I got so many people like, "I love your hair." So that was kind of cool. Because I did it for Christmas, and red is for, the handmaiden thing. So, and yes, I'm wearing a sloppy old shirt. Sorry, it's not a fashion statement at 11:30 at night after being in Washington D.C. So, excuse me if I'm not a fashion plate. um, I didn't get to do the march because after that, we all kind of wandered around, and the Dropkick Murphy thing was starting, the speeches and some music. That wasn't the concerts for the night thing. It was just like a thing they had. I don't think they played full songs and stuff like that, but because you had people in between speeching, and stuff, and people were on either side of the reflecting pond, and it was filled to about a third of the way on either side, maybe. It was some inflatable costumes, some great signs. I've got several video clips and I got several pictures. I actually got a picture of one of the handmaidens. I've known her from the group's page, and I saw her. And I met another gal and another one I knew on the group. So I'm like, this is kind of cool that we're finally meeting, But after the music stuff, the handmaidens headed down towards the end, down in where the Veteran Memorial is, and like the Congress House and all, but like I said, I got about 3/4 of the way down that long ass thing, and my foot was going, no. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm 3/4 of the way there. I can make it there. And my foot said to me, yes, my foot spoke to me. And my foot said, well, yeah, I can get you there. Who the fuck's going to get you back? Because if I get that far, I'm a hurting. So I said, alrighty then. I guess we're not going all the way, are we? So I was kind of bummed watching their little red heads bobbing down there. I'm like, I don't want to be there. They said the march was really, really cool. So I just kind of chilled out a little bit. But once everybody emptied out, they were taking down the stage areas and stuff like that by the front of the reflecting pot, where you look down, you look all the way down till you see the Congress, and the memorials and stuff like that. That iconic down the pool with the big, yeah. I did get some decent shots of that because when everybody started marching, when they were halfway down, it was like everybody was behind me breaking down the stuff, and I'm like, well, this is a very beautiful and quiet area now again. And it was really nice. So I got some pictures. And I'm seeing some pictures from like the stage area down, looking down, which are cool. So I will gather some of those because I was there. I just didn't take those, But I will gather some of them and put those in, not just on the Facebook groups, but I will also do that here. And I'll do them in batches on the community postings. I'm not in my shining glory. I mean, yeah. But it's like, it was hot. It wasn't hot, but that uniform is hot. The one I have is like a gabardine linen, heavy linen. And it's like, kind of feels like a canvasy kind of feel. You know what I'm saying? It's a heavy material. Some of them, the ones that are brighter red, they're more like a polyester or brushed cotton, and they're not quite as warm as these, as the ones I was wearing. And it's the first time I wore the dress, so that was fun. It was a lot easier to go to the bathroom than a jumpsuit because you got to take the cloak off, you got to take everything off. That's why I couldn't keep doing that. But and then I thought, I am not walking back to the Foggy Bottom thing. And I knew I had a while because they did their march with them. And there was Cliff Cash was there, and Jesse Dollamore apparently was there because I saw a video when I got home. I was like, I didn't see Jesse. And of course, Dropkick Murphy, a couple others. Oh, the Jolly, I like just call him Jolly Ginger. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. The people that I went with, the friends I went with, they said on the march, Cliff Cash was like wound up walking right near them in their group, talking with them. So that was kind of cool. Um, so they had, adventures that I didn't have, and like they were at the Lincoln Memorial. They were going over and because they're from Boston, so is apparently Murphy, Dropkick Murphy. So I think I'm saying that right. And so they were all excited because I guess they know some of the guys there because they saw them, and I guess they were in a band. The three that were taking me there, the couple and their friend, they told me they had been in a band. So of course, yeah, they know. So they were like, "Well, while you're going with the Handmaidens to the Lincoln Memorial," she goes, "We're gonna go down to see them at the." I said, "That's cool." And we had our phone number, and I was like, "It's not like you're not gonna recognize me out of 30 handmaidens around the place. I mean, you'll find me." So she did, and it was good. We just kept in touch with text, and it's not like they had to follow me around or I had to do their things. We separated, and sometimes we'd meet up and hang out for while we're listening or something. But very casual. So while they were on their thing, and I was all bummed out about not being able to finish with the handmaidens on the march, I was sad. But like I said, you got to pick your battles. As you get older and you get physical things, injuries or whatever, sometimes you have to fucking pick your battles to win the fight. And the fight was to get there and at least get with the handmaidens, make myself shown, be there. Physically, take up space and take up your voice. And if you couldn't participate in all of it, hey, you got your ass there, And I took a lift back to Fug, so that cut a lot of time. So I had like over an hour to hang around. There's a guy singing there because it's right by the hospital entrance, and they had like a Starbucks and a Subway there. I've only had like 3 protein bars today. So, so I just went on my own, like I said, and I sat by the reflection pool, and I got some nice views, and just sat and what it's made for, kind of, and it was just so pretty, just looking and watching the ducks and stuff. And then I got a lift over to there, so I was there, and I let her know that I was there, because she said 4, and it was like 3:30 or something, and they said they just finished the march, and they're hitting a food truck. I guess they had food trucks down that way, probably because they knew everybody was going to end up on that end, and everybody's going to be fucking hungry by then. And normally I don't like to go to Starbucks just because of, the ownership and stuff. But it was a Starbucks in the hospital in that same area. And a Subway, but the Subway was farther. And I just wanted something to drink, so I got a bottle of water, and I got a peppermint mocha coffee. And I just sat and I watched people. And I like doing that sometimes. And when I got there was people selling shirts on the corner and, stuff, and the guys singing, and the escalators down to the metro, and I just kind of hung around, and she's like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to grab something to drink. And then she's like, oh, because she said, we'll be there in 40 minutes. And then about a little while later, she goes, we're not going to walk back. We're just going to get a car back. We're going to get a ride back. They're going to get a lift. Just so you know, Uber is cheaper usually, but there's a lot of, it's owned by by right-wing people. And but Lyft has, now I'm not saying Uber doesn't have people that are left-leaning, that are liberal people that don't drive for it. I'm sure they do. It's just that the ownership kind of thing. But the lifts sometimes are a little more expensive. But it wasn't much difference there. And not like it is here in Jersey. There wasn't much of a difference. Like, using one was $60 to get from where they went to hang for the night, their room, and me getting back to mine home. One of them was $40 and one was $60. So there is a difference. But I just got one. It's just to get back from the Lincoln Memorial area to the Metro Foggy Bottom. It was like $10, $8. I think it was $8.94 or something like that. No, it wasn't that bad. It was worth it not having to like kill myself and my back and started cramping. And that's because my legs started cramping on the way home. I'm like, oh fuck. I knew it was gonna do it. Imagine if I hadn't just, I don't want to say given up, but I hadn't listened to my body, my foot. I would really have been hurting bad. So, even though I didn't like stopping 3/4 of the way there, I did. So, like I said, there was lots of pictures on the Lincoln Memorial steps. We were there for 30, 40 minutes. And it wasn't just like regular people. I mean, there was like papers and news places. You could tell by their material, and somebody was holding like, behind it. It wasn't just like regular you and me getting pictures of what they saw at the rally march. And I got a lot of people when I was by myself in that quiet, just kind of like, which was kind of nice. It was kind of a little decompression because I was starting to hurt. You guys know I use CBD for my pain relief. It's like I used to be on opiates because the chronic pain with the foot is that bad some days. A lot of days, most days. So I'm already talking about it's already hurting. So when I say it's giving it up, I started hurting. I start every day, my foot hurting as soon as it hits the floor. Sometimes before. Cramps in the legs sometimes that are so bad in that leg, it wakes me up, yelping. So, and it goes up, not just the calf, but the back of the thigh too. Because there's damaged muscles from the foot. There's a lot of damaged muscles and nerves in the foot. Let's put it this way. When the original injury, they had to wait 24 hours for some of the swelling to go down before they could even do surgery. And when I came out of surgery and I woke up and he came, the visit, he says, well, when your podiatric surgeon uses words like pulverized and bone dust, you get like, so the fact that I can even be on the foot that much, I'm grateful for. And that's why I don't push it. Because it had pins and it had those staples that aren't supposed to come out. My foot pushed a pin. The entire pin from the heel all the way through the foot on the weekend till it was almost coming out from between the toes on Monday. It was all swelled up. The staple on the top, the two staples, it was pushing it out of the skin. And the screws had to be taken out because my bone was covering it. They're not supposed to do that. And he told me, I was 42 at the time. Yeah, 20 years ago. And he said, oh, for your 40s, he goes, your body is like trying to get rid of the foreign shit and try to cover up the other stuff. And you can't really have the bone, going over the skin. So that's the whole thing, though. Where the hell did that come from? And that's why it shifts. Every few years, it shifts a little because the pins and the staples and all that shit and the screws that keep them in the right place, they had to be removed because the body was pushing it out. Which means they're not there to keep shit in the right spots because parts of didn't grow back the right like the little edge or something. You know what I'm saying? And those things, the pins and the staple, keeps it solid. And the landmass is going to move apart or shift if it's not anchored. So, I'm tired, so I don't know where the hell landmass came from. It was an analogy, but I didn't mention that. But anyway, that's why I don't push it. It doesn't have to do, if you've ever had where it's not your willpower, you'll push through, but your leg or your hand or whatever it is just says, no, I'm not working anymore. And no matter how much you're trying to push, it's like, nope, I am not holding that weight anymore. I'm not holding 5 pounds of weight. Suck it, you know? And that's what I deal with the leg, with the foot. And I'm not like, oh, poor me. It's just frustrating when you're still that hyperactive person and you want to do this shit, and it's like, damn foot, you know? At the same time, I'm like, damn foot. But I'm grateful I can at least do as much as I do. So, silver lining. But anyway, like I said, I was a little bummed. So I thought, just get your ass to where the metro thing is. That way you don't have to worry when everybody starts getting back for the march and trying. Just get yourself there and wait there. Because there was a little place I could have gone across the street. I think there was other stuff. But I didn't want to, like, move from that. You know what I mean? Because I don't know the area. And I just didn't want to stray too far. But then she wrote back after she said they're getting food for the truck. She said, oh, we'll be there in about 5 minutes because we're just going to take a car. We're not going to walk 30 minutes. So, because I told her I'm here and just whenever you get here, it's no rush, you know. I just thought I'd head over. I got some pictures, kind of took a casual stroll. And the gal who took me down, she was so sweet. She was laughing. She thought it was hilarious. She was like, I was with the wings and the cloak, and she was like, oh, girl, thank you for coming here. Obviously was a liberal progressive. She goes, girl, she goes, you look so good. Thank you for coming. She goes, I've been seeing you guys. I said, I know, all week. Well, for weeks, but all week this week. She goes, yeah. I said, some of the same girls. Some of them are the same ones because they live in Maryland. You know, it's an hour away or something. But it's the first time I've been in D.C. since I was 6. So, yeah. All in all, I mean, some people were unhappy that it wasn't as big as they wanted it to be. But you know, it 50501 and Indivisible didn't like push it, didn't promote it, didn't mention it to people. So a lot of people, I guess, didn't hear about it except if the other group, you know what I mean? The remove the regime, impeach, remove, convict, you know. So that, I think that's where, and it wasn't that we didn't want you to if you couldn't get to DC, you couldn't protest. You could. They were just trying to make a point to get as many as we could there, so he cannot deny people were there. So I don't know what the final count was yet. I didn't even really see Alt National Park Services mentioning it either in the last week or so. So, yeah, it could have been not advertised, but promoted more, mentioned more. And I don't know why the ones like Indivisible, 50501, you know, Hands Off, none of them, and Alt National Park Services, they really didn't promote it. So I don't know why, but there was a lot of people there. It's not like there was just a 1,000 or 2, you know. It's not like it was crowded, but we were kind of hoping half the reflection pools were covered, you know. About a third was. But that's still good. And you got to remember, it's the weekend before Thanksgiving too. I met somebody from Montana. She and her daughter took a flight got in last night from Montana. There was a bunch of people from Florida, because there was like 4 buses that came up from Florida. There was one gal, I think she was like the only one so far that she knows of that came from Oregon. But, I mean, they got their own place to protest every damn day there, you know? Let's go to Portland if you live in Oregon. But, I see wanting to get to D.C. because, you know, I had that fever. I need to get there and just be there. So, I'm going to get something to eat because I didn't really, sorry, my voice is starting to go. Because I just had, like, I think 3 protein bars since 4 o'clock this morning. So, but, I just didn't, I haven't been hungry, but, and I'm really not hungry that now because I'm just still on that. Even after a 5-hour drive home and a half-hour drive, I mean, it's mellowed out. I'm tired. Like after working a polling place on election day. But I'm not, my gut is content. It's like, okay, so we were there. I went. There's proof I was there. I'm just tomorrow. I think I'm going to be too tired tonight because I'm going to have to go search. Anything on the march, I mean, I'll watch, but I know I won't be getting any screenshots or find pictures, but I do have to go through a couple of groups because I know We Are the Flood and Get to DC on the Facebook groups we're all posting on there, and our own personal groups like Visibility, Brigades, and stuff like that. But being is that it's nearly like midnight, yeah. It's 11:42. Don't be laughing at me. I know you look funny when you're punch drunk tired too. I did pass out for about 40 minutes in the car. I couldn't help it. Their friend Drew was all passed out from the time we left DC. Actually, they parked in Maryland, so we took the metro. But yeah, so, but I will be looking because I'm sure there was lots of pictures. The people, the handlers, who's ever, you know, organizing the handmaidens on any particular day, I'm sure they get pictures for their own, so they can, you know, show you guys. So I'm sure anything from the Lincoln Memorial with the handmaidens on November 22nd, I would probably be in the photo, unless it's just sections of the photo. But yeah, so I'm sure I'll find myself in a lot of pictures. I already have one guy says, "Guess who I saw?" But there's something about when you dress as a handmaiden for like protests and events and stuff like that, there is something about having a resistor sister. And it does form a camaraderie kind of. It's interesting because those wings really do restrict your peripheral vision. They really do. And I spent 10 years working as a correctional officer. So, you know, I got long ago into the habit of not sitting or sleeping with a door behind me. The window is right above me so I can hear something. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit unless if the window's high up, I'm not going to be sitting there. So they come over me and they don't see me. No, you know. But it was an interesting experience. A lot of energy for those who were there. Also, it was from the time that it was mentioned. A lot of times they, you know, it's like several, like 4 weeks, you know, ahead of time. And especially if you're asked, it's on one side of the country, and you've got some people that just have to drive an hour or two, some that have to drive 5 or 6, and some that have to like a day. to get there, you know, type of thing. They can't drive, they have to fly type of deal. So of course that's going to be, as opposed to of having it all meet in the middle, kind of, but that kind of defeats the purpose because our capital is there, you know. So it was kind of a frustrating thing, for some, and I do get that. Um, I'm just I never it didn't last till 7, by the way. So it was still light when the march and everything stopped. So we had definitely left before it got dusk. So definitely by 5 or something like that. That's probably why we got home at like 11. Actually, we got home. Well, we got to their place thing at like 10:30, something like that. 10:30, and it was another half hour for me to get home. So, but I only had to wait even at that hour, at 10 o'clock or something over there. I only had to wait like 10 minutes for him to show up. So that was nice. And it was an interesting day. I am definitely glad. I am definitely glad. And the Resistor sister in Ohio that bought my original bus ticket that got canceled, and then the other one got rerouted, and I had offered to send back the money since, you know, then I got this right. She told me, keep it, you'll probably need it. And you know what? Thank you, sweetie. I'm not going to say your name, but thank you, because I was able to get the lift home, and that was like a $40 trip. I had checked it when we left Washington, D.C., and it was like $60, but like 3 hours later it was 40. So, so that money for the bus seat actually was needed by me. So if she hadn't had told me to keep it, then, and there was a couple others that gave me like 10, 20, I appreciate it very much, because things are not cheap there. But I definitely appreciate it because it made it less stress-free for me, because I did have to spend that money on a lift home from where they dropped. Like I said, they don't know Jersey super well. Driving in the dark I was like, no, that's good. She goes, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Because like I said, I had that money. So I did use it. Thank you for making it available to me, because I actually did need it. I would have been able to cover it, but I probably wouldn't have anything much left for the next 10 days, you know, or whatever. So I am going to, I'll put up 1 or 2 videos because I am just really tired, guys. I'm not even going to look for the Lincoln pictures, the memorial pictures, see, you know, which ones people got of me. And because some people, the photographers, some were personal photographers with like, not like digital cameras, they were like regular manual focus cameras type of thing. And you know, some different people would pick like a particular handmaiden that draw their attention, and they would come up like really close to you. Sometimes they would get up real close, and you know, after 20 minutes or something of everybody getting shots and stuff, and you think, oh good, we can relax a little, and then you see a whole new swarm of people with their phones. I'm like, so we're like sitting there again. Yeah, I mean, you talk to each other, but you don't want to do it too long because they want the image of the handmaidens, you know. And I was on the bottom step, so I had to be like looking up and shit. But then they started coming up real close, and it came up like real close to me, and you're, you know, scooting down and getting up to get the visual of the wings and everything the way they wanted it. So that was interesting. I've never been the subject of that before. I might be an outgoing person, but until I had to be forced because of politics to make videos, I hated how I looked on camera and on videos and pictures. I've always been like critical of, look at this. You look big, Doing the videos has cured me a little of that. And I must say, even on the protests, local protests that we do, we've had several of them, as you know. It was uncomfortable at first. I just didn't realize how much attention, just one in a crowd, everybody's like, but when you move as a group, it's interesting. And one of the girls that I just met today, we were talking, and she says, have you noticed how and she said the same thing, especially when you're in a group or just 2 or 3 or 4 of us, but even when there's one of us, she goes, have you noticed how people, I said, make way? She goes, yeah, everybody just moves out of the way. Well, for me, because I've got the walker, so of course people are gonna, but she said, no, they do that with the handmaidens just in general. Interesting, yeah. But it was funny because one guy like was right up on this side, then he was on that side, then he turned to her, but somebody else was was like, oh, I like the look of that or something. So there was several of us that had different people like right up on you and stuff. So you're like, hi. And as a handmaiden, you don't want to be smiling kind of thing. It's like you want to give that intense, that look of just, we're here, we're fucking serious type of feel. That's always how I felt when I wear the uniform. And I don't call it a costume, I call it a uniform, because that's what it was, and that's what we're replicating. And it's interesting, because this is the first time I've moved in a group of handmaidens. Usually at the protest, I'm the only one in a handmaiden uniform, or somebody way at the other end of the 8,000 had one on, So this was the first experience moving as a group, being with my resistor sisters. And it was very interesting. I was not prepared for that. But when she said that, I said, do you live around? She goes, yeah, I live in Maryland, so I come like whenever I can. Just driving over for an hour, I can do that, spend half a day, and then go home, She says, so yeah, I'm here often. I said, so, she goes, yeah, we've noticed that. Every time. It's not just this group. Every time the handmaidens move as a group, people, that respect of, don't make them separate. In other words, they know we have to move as a group, because that's the effect. Just like when nuns move in a group, And that's part of it, moving as a group when you're all in that, some of us had the cloak hoods down with just the wings on. Some of us had the hood up over the wings, I took it off several times because it gets warm under those things. It does. You get sweaty. And then, of course, in the sun, when my hair comes tumbling out, and they're all like, oh, wow. Because that's a very big juxtaposition of what the handmaiden was in the book and the series. And then this red head come tumbling out with the green on it, And it was interesting to see reactions, but I saw a lot of, all ages and genders of, I love your hair when it came out. Granted, I didn't see as many. I saw one black girl, beautiful. She had green that was braided, like just strands of it is green. That was beautiful. And I saw one white guy. He had kind of like a, not kind of like a mohawk, and it was that electric banana yellow. He was busy talking to somebody. Otherwise, I wanted to go over and ask him, "Is that Manic Panic electric banana?" Because it looks like it. But they were busy talking, so I didn't want to bother them. So, but yeah, there weren't all that many. And even the people that live there, while I'm watching the metro and stuff, there weren't all that many people in Washington, D.C. that I saw, that I came in contact with, that have vibrant colored hair. So that was another interesting thing, because people, I mean, it's not super common, but around here in Jersey, it's not like, it's not unheard of. So that was another interesting thing. There weren't as many, and I guarantee most of the ones that I saw probably were not from DC. Yeah, so I learned several little interesting little observations, which is always kind of fun to, see a different perspective from a different part of the country. But yeah, she's right. Like I said, this is my first experience as a handmaiden with other handmaidens, not just carrying it myself. And there was a sisterhood. It was very weird, because those bonnets and the wings, some of them don't have the hard wings because they couldn't find them or whatever, but they have the extra wide bonnet. But it cuts off your peripheral view. It really does. And that was the purpose of it. All you see is straight ahead. Nobody can see you. You're not an identity. You're just a walking womb. You're just a walking fertile woman to be used to have babies. That's what it was. And that's what they want. But it is very, like I was saying, especially if you work law enforcement of any type, you always use your peripherals, And when that's cut off for a long time, it starts, it's not a panic and it's not an anxiety, but it's like I start being very aware of, I still can't see the sides of me. I can't see what's on. So it's not like it's a struggle to wear it with the full wings, But I got to take them off after an hour or two, just for like 5 minutes. I just need that. And one gal said it's not the view that bothers her, not being able to see on the sides. For some reason, the way hers sits on her head, the sound, which makes sense, is like funneled, so it's amplified when she has her bonnet, which I thought was interesting. Because I'm sure if hers was curled a little more or a little less than somebody else, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have done that as much. So I guess not being able to see out your eye, just without turning your head, is annoying. But that sound thing would be even more annoying. So I get that. And that's what I'm saying. You learn other little things about. Oh, does your cape oh man, my cape is so just like, oh yeah, I know, so, because everybody has different, some of them made them themselves, there's pattern now. There wasn't a pattern in the summertime that I could find. But, yeah. So just having that camaraderie thing was nice, because it's interesting, but when you put a handmade uniform on, a handmaiden uniform, it's more than just putting on a costume. People react to it in a, I don't want to say visceral way, but they make way. I mean, it instantly puts like, oh, they got to move together type. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't aware of that, because like when you watch the series, you're thinking, well, of course they are acting, they know they're going to be coming through, so make way. But that really does happen. It's weird. It's just like when somebody sees a bunch of us in that uniform, it's like you can't, they inherently know do not break the group up. Move away. Move aside. And that is not disconcerting. It's just very interesting. Very, I don't want to say weird. I was not prepared for that interesting side effect. Same thing with them right up in your face. Them, over there taking the pictures. But after everybody's had a good 10 minutes, take pictures, and they're starting to wander off, then the professional ones would come up real close until more people started showing up, and then they'd pull back so they can get pictures. That was weird. I never thought I'd experience that because, that's what you see like models or, when they're doing an ad for something, shooting an ad. You see that. And I wasn't thinking this, in a handmade uniform was going to get people doing those art shots. I'm like, okay, I get it, but I hadn't thought, oh, this will happen. I'll have my picture taken all the time. It's not that I don't want it taken. That's fine. I just wasn't prepared for it. I got some of that at the protest when I was myself, just me alone as the only handmaiden around. But not like they do with the group. And that surprised me. The interest. And I get it because when I would see it, I had the same reaction before I had my uniform. When I'd watch the series, each episode, it was like you just expected them to do that. It's a weird thing that it does to the human psyche with that, the cloaks and the whole blocking, It's not just the handmaids that react. Other people pick that up without really saying anything. And they're like they do in the military for higher rank. Make way, make a hole. You don't even have to say it. They feel you coming. And they're just, she says that they just I said, like the water. She goes, yeah. I was like, I know, that's throwing me off. She goes, it did. She told me the first time I was here with all of them working as a group. She said that I said, so I'm not the only one that gets thrown. She goes, no, you get used to it. So as many pictures as were taken when I'm at a protest, and then sometimes I'll take my anonymous mask when I have the wings on and the hood up over it. I'll slip the anonymous mask on underneath it. I've done that on overpasses when we're doing the visibility brigade. It's a very visceral image, and it's a very jarring image because the handmaiden itself, like I said, and then the anonymous mask, which everybody knows the vibe that gives, and you put that together with the handmaiden vibe, and it was like people's reactions were like, it's like they go to see a handmaiden and they're like, it's just, I don't want to say disturbing as in like, it's just disturbing creepy because you know what both of those figures stand for, and it's just, wow. And I had a lot of people when I was at protests and stuff, when I would do that, they would took pictures before, and then they saw it with the with the anonymous mask on, and they'd come back and, can I get another picture with that? I'm like, go ahead. So I can see why, because if I saw that, I'd be like, oh, can I get a picture of that? Because that's an image that's like, oh, whoa. Like a group of like 40 or 50 handmaidens. It's like, wow. It's a different, and I belonged to groups before. The handmaiden thing is really It's not even like you're cosplaying or anything like that. It almost like you play the role. At least when I put it on, it's like I feel that, not that duty, because it's not a real character, but it could very well be. When I put that uniform, each piece on, it's like you can almost feel the weight of what that character in the series carried. And I don't know if it's for everybody who dons the handmaiden for events or something, but for me it is. It just, when you put those on, the oppression and the heavy the red cloak that all the way covers you, because they're supposed to go to the ground. Some of the polyester ones are shorter, or somebody's taller or something, and they come like to mid calf or something. But the ones in the series, they went. So when your feet walked, they were long enough so every time your foot came out, it would flip up the road, because right, it was just skim the ground kind of thing. So they had to gather it up if they were leaning over or something, because they couldn't walk, So it does do something when you put it on, at least for me. And if there's anybody who's donned the handmaiden uniform for protests or events or something like that, I'd like to know if you feel it, get any of this when you put that on. I'm not sure if it's just me, or if a lot of you guys feel that way too. So if any of you do, or you know somebody who does the handmaiden character, I'd like to know. Ask them, because I'm curious if everybody gets that. It's like when you put the cloak on, you're putting on the character, and it's not just a costume. I like your costume. I like your uniform, to me, And it's a psychological thing. It's like when people see several of you, even just several of you walking together, they look and they watch, even as you walk past. They're watching. And that's definitely, I don't want to say disturbing or uncomfortable, but it's a surprise. It's like, oh, I am not Cindy Crawford. What's going on? Yeah, and I do know that my blue eyes against the red, I especially when I'm wearing the mask too, I do know it does pop, because I know I have like lighter blue eyes. And maybe that's what struck him. But yeah, there was two different, one was a gal and one was a guy at two different times, and it just was a very interesting feel, because you couldn't just be like, don't do that, because you're there to make an image statement. That's the point of you being as a handmade gaggle, and the image only gets done by pictures. So it's not like it was a spray, but it was just, I get the fascination I had, because it's just an impressive, either impressive scary or whatever, impressive wow. It does say something with those cloaks moving the way it just does. It was a very interesting experience. I'm not that super shy person anymore, but it's also not like I'm gonna see somebody with a camera and jump. It's like, you want me to do something? It's not like I'm that either. So, and then, like I said, if you had anybody ever, like, let's say you're sitting there and they're like 2 feet from you with the big lens, and they're like, it happened today twice, two different people, and I was like, I mean, they were down on their knees, trying to get the different angles because they do give a shadow, and they're impressive. You have to get it at a right angle, but it does give an interesting picture of the handmaid, type of thing. So I get why they were doing it. And there was people that were halfway up the stairs. They saw one that just struck them about them, just like the two that were on me. The gal, a couple people behind, you know what I mean? Because I kind of turned around and I'm the only one after they were done, and I saw a couple of them on either side of the girls, and we're just sitting there. And the ones on either side, they had the big like Declaration of Independence that goes halfway down the stairs, and each of the handmaids are holding it up, and then the rest of us are around it. So, yeah. And I think I helped birth a new handmaiden. A gal comes up, and like I said, I barely got there. I barely got where they were just moving out. So, because they were starting a half hour earlier. We needed to assemble a half hour earlier because to get to the reflecting pond, they wanted us at the Lincoln Memorial. And each time, I guess they do different stuff, because another time they had people, There was one point, and I want to see that picture, where the gal who was like our handler that day, got one who's had the agenda and stuff. At one point, she's like, "Handmaidens, raise your right hand, raise your right fist," So we're all like taking a picture with our, our arms raised up, like power. So I'm waiting to see any of those pictures, because that would have been a good picture. That was good, because I kind of took a quick look back, kind of thing, and the arms were going up. So yeah. Hopefully that came out good. But like I said, none of us could get those pictures because we were in the pictures. A very new experience for me. Very different in a group of handmaidens. It was fun. Fun in a we're doing something here way. Now this one gal, younger than me, but not like 20s or anything, she had a big bag with her purse, and I said, "Hey," after I settled down and got my hat, my wings and all that shit, got the bag in front of me, situated my robe so I didn't look all askew, and a handmaiden chasing the cops going, "Let them help, tell them I'm coming." They were like, "Okay, ma'am." It was funny. Yeah, it was. I'm finding it hard to really get that explanation, because it's a very interesting feeling, and I've never experienced that before, because it was a group of us, and I started tearing up after, when we were taking our little half-hour break, milling around a little bit. I mean, we had to sit there. It was at least 30 minutes, probably a little longer. And I noticed when I gave that no smiling or anything, because I had wings on, you'll see it, and and like I said, I know against that red and the white, the blue eyes absolutely are noticed, and I do take advantage of that. That's why I turn my head down like this sometimes a little bit, so you get a little more of the brim, so it's just the eyes of, yeah, because that's the kind of picture, just 1 inch over or 1 inch, from down or from above or whatever, that gives the whole different feel to that. So I figured, well, the handmaidens um, exemplify powerful women, women that are brave, that are strong. You know what I mean? That speak up, that want to make the changes, and they'll do it myself. Damn it! After a certain point, and that's why they're not supposed to invoke like fear in you, but they're definitely supposed to be like, oh, the handmaidens are here. They don't fuck around, kind of thing. And that's why I did learn early on, a couple decades ago, to use the damn blue eyes when there's a picture, there's a particular, like in a Halloween costume or something, to play the character. And maybe that's what drew that one guy. But yeah, it was funny because there was probably at least 5 or 6 or 7 of us that had somebody just, something struck them about, or maybe it was the way their bonnet looked, because they didn't, not everybody had the stiff wings. So it just could, or the capes are different, and the capes fall different on at everybody. So whatever that photographer saw in that handmaid, and they were like getting the close-ups, and I've never seen close-ups like that before on, after an event that, even that I don't go to, but I've never seen those close-up pictures that they're taking, unless those are the ones that are just going in news or paper, whatever. But definitely an interesting experience. It was amazing, even if it wasn't as full as we'd hoped. I mean, considering that Alt National Park Services, 50501, and Indivisible and Hands Up, none of them, promoted it, pretty much. Considering that, man, I'm falling apart here. Sorry, guys. I am tired. I'm goofy tired. But considering all that, I mean, it was a big turnout. I mean, it's a huge place, so a big turnout would look, because it's half full. But I was last there at 6, so years old. So perception is different. It's big, man. It's impressive in its own way. And when you're sitting at the front of the reflecting pool and you're looking down at the Veterans Memorial and, Congress behind that and shit, you're like, wow. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. God knows how long I've rambled. I am so fucking tired. And tomorrow I've got all these pins when I got home. All my pins, of course, they come when I don't. You'll see them. They're all activist pins of different kinds. I will show those to you tomorrow. I am going to get something to eat. Take a couple of hits so my pain can dampen. That's just CBD. But, like, the pill, like tramadol, that takes like 40 minutes to kick in, a pill. A couple dabs, and it's like in 5 minutes, I'm starting to feel less pain. And I know that's not because I'm high, because you don't get near as high with CBD, because you're using the stuff that works for physical pain. I'm gonna go do that because my foot's starting to hurt right now. That's why I've lost track of what I was saying once or twice, because my foot is screaming at me. But I did not want to not give you guys something. I promise the stuff is coming tomorrow, Monday, and I'm going to be looking for any pictures that people got in the different groups and stuff. Oh, there I am, type of thing. Or, oh, that was a good picture. And I will see you tomorrow. I hope you had a good day. I hope you had a good evening. And peace out, guys. I still can't believe I made it to DC and I'm home. I'm going to start crying because I'm just... And it was all the grassroots movement where you guys all helped get each other bus seats or rides in your vehicle, or yeah, I'll swing by and pick you up in Minnesota. Yeah, I'll have to go about 20, 35 minutes out of my way, but that, that type of thing. Or I can afford it, but I can't go, so I'll pay for somebody. There was so many people doing that, and that's why we had as many as we did. But this grassroots movement, don't you ever let the right convince you, like he's been trying that, oh, they must have these organized, organizations that are doing these things. And no, we did rideshare buses. People that could afford it donated the money to secure the bus. Then you had still had seats to buy. And like I said, people were, yeah, we got 2 seats. We got 1 seat. We're coming from here to there. Anybody on the way need help? Just that. And hearing people's stories on like I said, one woman flew the other day, yesterday, came in last night from Montana with her daughter. One gal from Oregon. I mean, it was like, it really was from coast to coast, straight into DC. And it was a moving experience for me. Now that I'm reflecting on it, now that I'm not in the moment, because I was trying to live in the moment, but it was all so surreal for me, really. And that's why seeing other people's pictures of, like, the handmaidens in there, it's like, it really did happen. I still feel like that really happened, You don't understand. I've been wanting to get to DC just to have my voice there. At least once. And that's why I'm so emotional about it, because everybody helped. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, for me personally, that made this happen. And Laura and and Kristen and Henry and Drew, thank you guys. Thank you, because I didn't want to do any of this reflecting on the drive home, because I didn't want to be like crying in the car like a little weenie, Nobody wanted to listen to that. But yeah, it was an emotional one for me. And like I said, it still feels surreal. So I'm going to go give some love to my cats. First thing I did before I put anything down was I got a can of cat food and now they're all crashed out. Raspy's back there. Smudgy's over there. Oh, she was over there. Now that I'm home, they're like, no problem. So, have a good evening.